And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse and yours truly, Robert Reich. Heather, what are we going to talk about today?
Let's get into it. How about Trump's big, beautiful bamboozle of a bill?
That is really...
And his flying palace.
They're both bamboozles.
They both are, and much more.
I think we just make this a bamboozle session.
Yeah, everything we talk about has to start with a B and
the
roll
bill,
up into that.
the big beautiful bill, the bamboozle bill, has hit some big headwinds.
Yes, so 5 Republicans voted with Dems.
In the critical, this is the Budget Committee.
Yep.
And it's got to get through the Budget Committee in order to, then it goes through the Rules Committee, and then it goes to the House floor, and then it's going to be voted on by the House, and it's going to go to the Senate. And all of this is about getting his big bill through the tax bill and the immigration bill combined, right?
That's it. And there are a lot of other sneaky things that are hidden in it. Let's be clear.
The bigger a bill is, I have a rule of thumb from my vast years of experience in and around Congress. The bigger the bill, the more hidden things are.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, big bills are just, the lobbyists salivate over big bills. And there are all kinds of things in this bill.
And in this day and age?
Like what?
Do you think someone tried to sneak something in?
What's in this bill?
So in this bill, lots of stuff deregulating AI, which is very scary.
Well, in other words, the AI, the artificial intelligence piece of this says what? States cannot regulate AI, and the federal government is going to kind of take a very soft approach.
Right. So I think a lot of what I would say the trend is these days is carefully, even with the crypto bill, which we can also talk about in a minute, is sowing the seeds for deregulation.
Yeah.
And setting up for success to not be regulated.
So in other words, if Elon Musk is not just taking your regulation away and the entire regulatory apparatus and the whole agency, these bills just sort of seed the deregulation.
That's it. Other things that are...
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but deregulation, some people love deregulation. They say, well, deregulation, that's too much regulation. But let's be clear. Regulations, and the regulations we're talking about, are protections. Health, safety, environment, fraud,
right.
And this is particularly true with regard to all of the other things we're talking about, and AI, artificial intelligence, I mean, a huge potential problem.
On so many levels. I mean, it's consumers, it's national security, it's our infrastructure of all of our finance and everything else. I mean,
and so you've got these giant companies, right, mostly American, they are investing billions in artificial intelligence with the expectation they're going to make far more. And they want to eventually get to the point of what? Where these machines are smarter than us.
Allegedly.
And then they take over everything?
I mean, I think it's that, but I think it would just be, they want to have a dominance. I mean, we talk about trying to avoid, anti-monopolies. We don't want too many monopolies. I mean, this would be a monopoly of machines.
This would be a monopoly of monopolies.
Right.
This would be, this is what artificial intelligence really is scary in that if there are no controls, no regulations, no health and safety or anything else, we are inviting a future that is basically the equivalent of Frankenstein.
Right, and it can be used for evil. That's the point. So you set it up, so let's make sure that we have, guardrails, and let's use it for good.
Stanley Kubrick, remember? What was his name?
Stanley Kubrick.
The computer that took over. Was it Wall?
Michael?
Hal.
Thank you.
Hal. Thank you, Michael.
You almost got it with it rhymed.
Okay.
So other things that are hidden in the big, beautiful bill is the IRS free file that was happening. That would be gone.
So wait a minute. The IRS pre-file. The
free
IRS
file.
was allowing people to file free of charge
through through a helpful system they set up.
But all of these filing companies, these companies that helped you, they don't like that free file.
Right. And TurboTax, all the companies.
But Heather, this is a key to a lot of what's going on because as the federal government is stripped of all these responsibilities and all these protections and everything else, the goal, I assume, is to give them over to profit-making private corporations, not just Elon Musk's profit-making private corporations, but all kinds of private profit-making corporations.
Yes, exactly. For example, selling off of public lands to big oil in the bill.
In the bill. In this bill.
Yeah.
This is the big, beautiful bill we're talking about.
There's the carried interest loophole, something you've been talking. Let's go. Give it to us.
I just want to say
I saw you.
that the private equity and hedge fund industries, they've been salivating for years. They already get the hedge fund loophole, which means that they pay less income. These managers, private equity partners and others, then they pay less income tax, a lower rate than you do or I do. And why do they do that? Because they have gamed the system.
Well, it's redefined. They've
redefined.
The money that's coming in.
The income. They say, oh no,
subject.
the income is really coming in for these private equity deals. It's not. Oh yes, it's our income, but it's not really our income. So they make it into a business at a lower tax rate, and they've fought tooth and nail. This lobby, the crypto lobby, the private equity lobby. APEC. I mean, these are these giant lobbies in America that are really there for, well, not quite the right things.
Yeah. But so it is scary.
Corporations mostly.
Yeah, corporations mostly. But it's scary to watch what's being snuck in and how it will deregulate certain things and silence other people and disproportionately affect, the marginalized and the poorest of the poor in many ways.
Well, it also, I mean, you look at the, they want to create enough space in the budget to allow them to have this big tax cut, predominantly for the very wealthy. And they're doing that. They have to create enough space, that is, enough cuts, and so the bill does create cuts in Medicaid. I mean, what worries me, the last figure I saw was about somewhere in the range of $600-700 billion in cuts, in cuts in Medicaid. Half of the nation's children depend on Medicaid. 1 in 5 adults depends on Medicaid. These states depend on Medicaid. And what do you do if you're cutting Medicaid in order to give the wealthy a big tax cut? There's something wrong with this picture, Heather, isn't there?
Yes, of course. But then there's the Republican ruse that I feel like we've been suffering at the hands of for eons now, which is Speaker Johnson says, well, we have got to do something about this debt.
The debt.
Oh, the debt. It's the biggest existential crisis we're facing.
Hello. If you just added up the Ronald Reagan tax cuts, all of the money that went to the rich that they no longer have to pay in taxes and corporations, and then added the George W. Bush tax cut, and then added the first Trump tax cut, you wouldn't have a huge problem with the deficit or the debt. I mean, that's where this stuff is coming from.
I know. And you've said, too, the way it works and the interest and who's getting wealthy off the debt actually is part of the problem.
Well, I mean, it's important to know. I don't want to sound too pedantic about all this. May I be a little pedantic?
When's the quiz? I just want to make sure that I'm ready.
It's tomorrow.
Okay.
So you can study tonight.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Okay. The wealthy Americans, as far back as Eisenhower, Dwight Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, they were paying a marginal tax rate under the Eisenhower administration of 92%. Now, that doesn't mean they were paying 92% of everything, but marginal, at the margin, at their highest incomes, 92% of that was going to the federal government. And, of course, they had tax credits and they had tax deductions. But now the wealthy are financing the government not through their tax payments. They're financing the federal government through their lending. It's the bonds. It's the T-bills. And so you and I and almost everybody else, we are paying interest on the federal debt to largely the wealthy in this country. Now, there are foreigners, obviously, international debt holders, creditors, but it is, it's amazing, this switcheroo, from originally paying taxes if you're extraordinarily wealthy to now just lending the money
Yeah.
to the United States and collecting interest that we all pay.
The combo of the bamboozle and the switcheroo.
The bamboozle switcheroo.
Is a
That's what I
lot.
call it. It's the bamboozle. On your quiz tomorrow,
Yeah.
bamboozle
Oh, I know.
switcheroo. That's what I'm going to
I'm
ask.
going to put that on 4A. Can we talk about the tariffs a little bit? Because I have whiplash from us going back. Well, we have them, but we don't have them, but we
Talk
do.
about a bamboozle switcheroo.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
Heather.
Yeah, I know.
these tariffs.
So where do things stand? I mean, we still have a huge tariff average rate going on right now that will impact us almost $500 billion for households and corporations.
That's right. The tariff is now, on average, even with the Trump retreating, it's 14.5% on almost all goods coming into the United States, which is a tax. It's a regressive. The poor pay a bigger portion of their income and will be. And even Walmart went on record this week as saying everything is going to be, we're going to put up our prices. We have to because of the tariffs.
Which is interesting because has Trump called them yet? As he called Bezos when they started putting transparency around the pricing?
I expect it. I mean, Amazon, yes. The White House went ballistic when Amazon would even dare have the effrontery to put on its price listings how much the tariff was costing, and they backed off. But Walmart has made it public. I mean, Walmart is saying everything, all the prices are going up, and Americans are not stupid. They're going to see they're going to pay more. And one of the reasons they gave in exit polls for voting for Donald Trump in 2024 was he'd bring prices down.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of cognitive dissonance here.
For sure. Now, when is all this change going to show up in our financial reports that we're looking at? Right? Because it hasn't yet.
No, it hasn't yet, but it's going to show up in June, in all the June reports, because if Walmart is, sort of a leader here. If Walmart pushes its prices up, given Walmart's market power, everybody's going to put their prices up.
Okay, I can't wait another second. I'm sorry to be a sensationalist. Can we talk about Trump's trip to the Middle East?
In the midst of this exciting economic quiz that you were about to have,
I just keep thinking about him, the pictures of him going over there.
Bamboozle.
Yeah.
It's another bamboozle switcheroo.
Yeah.
Because he goes to the Middle East and he says, I'm going to make all this I'm going. It's my first major trip in my second administration. So I'm going there and I'm going to do important things. Well, what
including
happened? There was
not diplomacy.
There was no diplomacy. I mean, you have real tinderboxes all over the Middle East. He didn't deal with any of the ongoing issues. He went to these little kingdoms, King Trump, kingdoms. He loves kingdoms. And he was treated magnificently. I mean, with the gold and the parades.
Tissue, sir, in a gold
yes,
box.
would you like them, please?
Yeah.
And then, but he loves it, and then the Qatari they give him a $400 million luxury
giant
plane it's a kind of castle. It's in the sky.
Which PS has been on the market trying to be sold since 2020.
Yes, but it's still. Trump
but
saw
it is
this.
Kind of funny.
Trump saw this in January at Andrews Air Force Base, and he fell in love. He salivated. He just, he wants. Obviously, he loves gold, and he loves gold leaf, and he's put it all over the White House. But if he can have a flying palace, I mean,
it's like a piece of gold bullion with wings.
Insane. He's insane.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
he's so excited.
the last one the Qataris gifted was to Erdogan.
Oh, great. Well, so Erdogan and
Erdogan. But so that is very scary. And of course he's saying, what? This is a gift for everyone, and it's not for me personally, really. I mean, we'll see, and blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's not, and not for me personally. It's just I treat everything personal,
right.
And everything that goes to me. In fact, there's no difference between me and America. He says that again and again. But also, let's be clear, this plane is intended as a gift for him to be used by him after he leaves the White House.
Right.
And this is not for the United States.
Right, and it's different than Reagan's library hosting a plane.
Yeah, Reagan took Air Force One. It wasn't a foreign gift. It was Air Force One. It was an old Air Force One, and he put it in his library, and it's still in the Reagan library.
Right.
No, this is actually a gift. It violates the emoluments clause
Yes.
of the Constitution.
We've talked
You
about
cannot,
this.
if you're an officer of the United States, you can't take a foreign gift. Hello?
I know. And to watch him over there. So I have a lot of feelings, and I know you do too. Anger,
I don't have any feelings.
disappointment, depression.
I know. I'm jubilant.
But so watching him in the Middle East love these autocrats and just say, do you want our AI? What can I give you?
What can I get? Well,
I
that's-
don't want to control you going forward, And I feel like when he's here on our soil, I mean, there's disdain, but to watch him worship these people.
Because America, let's face it, I mean, he thinks we're a shithole. He really does. I mean, he would love to be, one of
Yeah.
these kings over
know.
there with all this wealth, this oil wealth.
I know. But it's so depressing to watch this tour, and we haven't even talked about the crypto, where he's just padding the pockets of his family.
Well, before we get to the crypto, though, I think it's important to understand that he made a lot of personal deals on this trip for his family. I mean, it wasn't just the $400 million airplane. It's also, the Trump organization is building and developing these luxury hotels in all of these kingdoms.
Yeah.
It's a source of there are all these quid pro quos going on, and the money that's going into the Trump tokens, the crypto tokens from the Saudis.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
Heather, this is corruption. We've talked about this a little bit before, but this is on a scale we have never seen.
I know,
in
it's
this
colossal.
country.
Cranked up.
It's
corruption.
Cranked up corruption.
It really is.
And it
Right in front of all of our faces.
well, I think I have this theory. You want to hear it?
Please.
This is the sleeping giant theory.
Okay.
America is like, most of the time, 95% of the time, we are like a sleeping giant. It takes a lot to get the sleeping giant to wake up, and even when the sleeping giant is awake, sort of not fully there. But to get the sleeping giant awake and incensed is a lot. It doesn't happen often, but I think when people see a $400 million basic bribery and all of these other bribes coming from foreign governments, and they see that Trump is giving the Saudis whatever they want. I mean, high-tech chips, these
the AI chips.
AI chips that are very. I mean, national security has been very careful to guard them, and he's giving them out, to the people like cards over there in the Middle East, and there are all kinds of relationships between the Saudis and the Chinese, and the United States, in other words, we are getting played as suckers in terms of Trump getting these big windfall bribes and paying off in terms of our national security.
But back to the giant. So
Yes.
is the giant waking up,
I
and
think
then what happens?
I think the giant, when the giant
Stomps
wakes up,
all over?
No, I think you get a huge, and we will get, I am sure, a huge blowback. It's in fact it's starting. It's not just Democrats, not just progressives. A lot of people. You look even in Congress. Several Republicans are saying this plane, this $400 million plane, it's wrong. It's wrong. I mean,
Also,
columnists,
U.S. taxpayers are going to have to pay for the fuel.
the fuel and changing over the
Upkeep.
plane.
Yeah, and
into,
shining all the gold.
but you have to make it into an Air Force One. I mean, that's not easy to do. We're all paying.
We're all paying. Okay, so
Bamboozle.
the bamboozle. One thing that I found fascinating this week was on Monday, got to work, opened the laptop, looking, and there is RFK Jr. talking at the White House, and he mentioned you.
Oh, sweet of him.
It's pretty great.
That's
But it
lovely.
is just on topic of what we're talking about and what Trump is doing and what this country is
he
becoming.
mentioned me to Donald Trump.
Let's take a look.
Lovely.
There's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people.
Wow.
Elizabeth Warren.
And Robert Reich.
No, he's Robert Reich. Who's Robert Reich?
I don't know.
You know,
I mean, Bob.
And Trump stands up to the oligarchs? I mean, what world, what planet is RFK Jr.? I mean, you might have asked that a long time ago.
Right. But
I mean, worms have eaten some of his brain.
I know, and you go on that plane, and it's very unoligarchic. I mean,
no, that's plain. It's gold leaf, but it's just gold leaf.
Right.
Leaf. It's not gold.
But I mean, so truly,
and
this
I'm not
is
even sure there's a gold toilet in the plane.
Of course there is.
Oh, okay.
Of course there is.
Well, it's getting a
Multiple.
little oligarch-ish.
But so we have talked about this is the power of, it's a few people at the top. It's usually tied to wealth. Hello. It's been happening since Athens and a long time ago in Greece. I mean, this is clearly what's happening. We look back to his swearing in, right? And who was standing in the front row. All
the oligarchs,
rich individuals.
the American oligarchs.
And he's off on this Middle East tour, and that is
And some of the oligarchs, American oligarchs, went with him on the Middle East tour. I mean, you might as well get to know the oligarchs. The world oligarchs need to know each other. So it's like a little bit of a mixer.
I know. Your sarcasm today is great, because it's usually me who's sarcastic.
No, because
I'm feeling great about this.
You get to a level of outrage,
Yeah.
and then I'm sorry, I do get a little bit sarcastic. But
Okay, but we are doing, so a couple things are being done. There's the Genius Act that's coming through, the Stable Genius Act, which has to do with crypto. And it is problematic, but people are fighting it, right? Bernie Sanders is out there fighting it. This act basically says, big tech, you go ahead and issue currency or be in charge of currency.
Or Trump, you have stable coins.
Yeah.
You have the Trump coins. You've got your Liberty, financial thing. Great. Foreigners, the Saudis can invest in it. What a wonderful
So not only
vehicle.
so it greenlights a whole bunch of things, but then also it doesn't include any provisions around the Trump family benefiting from it all, as though the bill isn't a stable genius bill, the genius bill.
Well, it is designed to allow the oligarchy to make even more money, and without accountability. And remember, this is, just follow the money, Heather. This is the crypto industry put a huge amount of money into Republican coffers, but also into some Democratic Senate
The crypto
coffers.
lobby is no joke.
The crypto lobby, they've made a lot of money through crypto. What do? When you make a lot of money through whatever you've made a lot of money through, you then use it for entrenching your power. And that's why you had a number of Democratic senators supporting this rotten bill.
Okay, so we'll have to see what happens with that. In terms of the silencing, you wrote about this on Substack. I always love to read your Substacks.
Thank you.
There are a lot of them.
Well, I just like to write.
I know. And I do. I think we like to hear from you, so I appreciate it. But so in terms of the silencing that's been happening, and also just the intimidating, one story I was following this week is about this Russian scientist named Petrova, Ksenia Petrova. And she was worked in a lab at Harvard, and she was here on all the proper visas as a student researcher. And she went to France and came back, and she had frog embryos in her pocket or hoodie, something.
Well, you should not carry frog embryos in your pockets. I mean, it's not done.
Right, but so
especially if you're a Russian.
Right, well, so she did this, right? And she, normally when this happens and someone finds some kind of, I don't know what, biological contraband, I don't know what you call embryos technically, but slap on the wrist, you can't have that, you pay a fee. But instead, it's been incredible to watch what has happened to this poor woman. So they changed her visa status, and then they took her to a detention center, and then they moved her around, and then she has had a hearing, and then the people have been changing all around her, and now there are criminal charges. And it is Kafkaesque because she fears going back to Russia that she will be signaled out and murdered.
Well, in fact, she was given a visa in part because of her fears about Russia. And she is also a very, very valuable researcher.
Their research is incredibly important around cancer and other things. They go into cells in a way that we can't with a normal microscope.
This is a story that is not only a story about silencing and intimidation. It's also a larger story about us losing brains around. There has been a brain drain into the United States of students and professors, and now these people are leaving, or they're not even coming here anymore.
It's so sad. It's the breakdown of science. I mean, we're watching it. It's all these departments, all these even though RFK Jr. says no scientists have gone anywhere. It is unbelievable. America was, I mean, what we have given to the scientific endeavor and to medicine and to all of it, and to watch, who was it? Oh, it was in France the other day, where they had, bring science, we welcome science. I mean, literally, people are like, sorry, suckers, come over here.
And they are. They are. I mean, I have talked to potential international students and international professors here at Berkeley, coming to Berkeley, and they're saying, no, we don't want to come anymore, or we're leaving.
Right.
We don't feel safe. And in fact, I was just talking to somebody 2 days ago, the day before yesterday, a professor who said he's always looking over his shoulder.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to live like this. He's leaving. This is silencing, yes, because they are afraid to make any criticisms, but also, as in the case of Petrova, it's a loss for us of intelligence.
It really is.
And it's no matter how much you want to build up the American economy or make America great again, you're making America poor again. You're reducing the capacity of this country to invent if all these wonderful, brilliant people around the world are not coming here.
I know, and it's making us start from ground zero again, and it's making us, infectious again. To get rid of all this stuff in the NIH and the CDC and all the research, science is iterative. You build. You can't lily pad across the pond if you remove half the lily pads.
That's actually
true.
true.
Yeah.
And the National Institutes of Health and the National Academy of Science, all of the scientists, the money that these funds have had to, in turn, make sure that scientists in this country and in our universities have the research capacities that they've had. Our great research universities have been the seed corn for all kinds of things, every major invention. And why are we doing it? Why are we eating our seed corn? Why are we doing this? Again, I don't think most of the public knows. Back to my sleeping giant. When the public starts learning, knowing what's happening, I think people will just rise up.
Okay, well, let's try and get them to know soon. We'll try and describe it in ways that is just crystal clear.
But the silencing part of this, Heather, which is very, very important, wherever you look in America right now, you find that institutions and people who otherwise could be critical of this nation, particularly critical of the Trump administration, feel intimidated. They worry. They don't want to be university presidents, I remember university presidents used to be the conscience of the nation. Clergy used to be the conscience of the nation. People who had positions of responsibility in the non-profit sector, in the profit sector. They used to give talks. They used to, with Vietnam, civil rights, they were there. They were touching the conscience of the country. Now everybody is afraid.
I know.
Everybody is afraid.
You saw that Dr. Khan Suri, who was at Georgetown, he was released this week, so that was a win of sorts. But the courts...
I mean, the courts, yes.
Yeah. So the courts, I feel like, have really been... They're still an obstacle for Trump. Not the best, not perfect, but I'm holding on to this concept.
Well, exactly. I mean, the Republicans in Congress and too many Democrats are willing to just pretend that they're dead.
Yeah.
But the courts have been the major pushback. And now we're moving into territory where the courts are now, instead of just temporary restraining orders and injunctions, they are actually looking at the merits of these things and saying, no, you can't do that, Donald Trump. You can't do this. You can't do that. But what the Trump administration is doing is now starting to attack the judges attack the courts. The judge in Wisconsin, who...
Hannah Dugan.
Hannah Dugan. You are so good with names.
I mean, sometimes.
You have a young brain. I have an old brain. This old brain doesn't
Hannah
remember names.
Dugan,
Hannah Dugan. Judge Hannah Dugan.
There
I remember.
it is.
Obviously, she's concerned, as she should be as a judge, about the sanctity of her courthouse. And, I mean, she doesn't want to deter people because they fear that they're going to be arrested from coming into her courthouse. She wants, and that's why when there was a defendant in front of her who apparently ICE was trying to get, she let him out of the back way.
I know.
Because she wants to protect her courtroom. That's
Yeah.
what that's what the Supreme Court said about Donald Trump, that if he's doing something in the course of his own office, the presidency, that he should have presumed immunity. Well, so should judges have presumed immunity if they are doing something in order to carry out their judicial responsibilities,
Right.
like Hannah Dugan. But she was indicted this week.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Bondi, nobody is above the law. Nobody's above the law. Hello?
Right.
Well,
So some other courageous people from the week? I do like on your Substack where you do an award, a Welch Award.
my Joseph Welch Award.
Yes. But so other people this week, so you saw in Omaha there was a big win for mayor.
Yeah, and that's actually, Omaha's a bellwether for the country, because not only is it in the middle of the country,
Right.
But it's a red state.
That's it.
Omaha's a little blue dot in that red state, but it's it's not blue. It's actually more purple than blue, and so it's had a mayor that's been a Republican, but this fellow just knocked it out of the park.
I know. He's their first black mayor, John Ewing. Jr.
Junior.
So that was a big win. So
A
this is
huge
on the
win.
list of
A huge
things
win.
happening at the local
And
level
there was,
where you're
I
seeing
think
shifts.
he beat the incumbent Republican by 15 points. And that is
Love to
really
see it.
quite extraordinary.
I know. And then Allison Riggs in North Carolina.
Justice
Justice
Allison
Riggs. So she was able to rightfully get her place back on the Supreme Court there in North
Yes, and
Carolina.
interestingly, a Trump judge in North Carolina made it clear that he was not going to change the rules as Allison Riggs, as her opponent wanted, and he said, "You have won this Supreme Court justice position." That she was an incumbent; she had already been there.
Right.
North Carolina, like Wisconsin, and this reminds me of the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, in that North Carolina has extraordinary. I mean, the district, the shapes of these districts, in an effort to really make it almost impossible for black people and for liberals and progressives to have any voice at all. She's going to have a role in correcting that.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
So, in other news, we have an intern at Inequality Media Civic Action who is a finalist for the University Medal at UC Berkeley. So
Maya.
that was, yes, Mia Rosenthal. So congratulations to her. But also today is...
Mia, congratulations.
Congratulations, Mia. Today is UC Berkeley's graduation day. And I know you've said this many times, but young people continue to give you hope. I feel like we need some more seeds of hope representing what youngsters are doing out there, registering voters, things
I'll tell
like
you,
that.
I say this very often. I mean, what has kept me as hopeful but also as young as I am?
Yeah.
I'm 120. I don't
No.
look it, do I?
No.
And what's kept me so young is these young people. I was meeting with some of my students, I think sometime last week for lunch, and we got up and I saw our reflection in the window of the restaurant as we were leaving on the sidewalk, and for a minute I said to myself, who's that little old man in the midst of my students? Because I feel for a moment like I'm one of them, like I'm not one of them, but I'm their age.
Well, I have that, not in those same terms, little old man, but I do think,
You look young.
No,
you
but,
do look.
But you can still have a thing.
Hello? Doesn't she look like she could be a student?
Yeah, I am a student of life. But
Yes.
really, you have those moments, and there's such a disconnect between who am I inside versus who am I outside.
I know. It gets worse.
I know.
Believe me.
Believe me. And so something that I'm very proud of and so excited to announce is that we followed you around for some of your last semester teaching. And I know this week you're speaking at the education commencement at the School of Education at
yes,
UC
on
Berkeley.
Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
But in general, you have given up your teaching of your giant course. And I know this because I made a movie about it with a director named Elliot Kirshner. And he and I and a great team said, look, it's your last semester. We're just going to get a little footage. We might put something on YouTube. I don't know what we're going to do. A little series, a little something. And so we got 37 hours of footage, and it is so incredible to be able to watch you and be part of your classroom and experience it in a different way. Can I?
I haven't seen this documentary. I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit anxious to see
I understand that feeling, but I am a little bit excited because I have seen it, and it's wonderful, and you're so candid in it. But let's take a look at the trailer, and then we can talk about it after that.
Okay.
My name is Robert Reich. This is Wealth and Poverty. What we are going to be talking about is happening now.
I've been a teacher for 42 years.
1, 2, 3.
I'm beginning my last semester. I've done a lot of other things. That's when we got the minimum wage increase through a Republican-controlled Congress.
I was economic advisor to Barack Obama. I was Secretary of Labor.
But I've always come back to teaching, and I can't imagine not doing it. I still feel that excitement, that energy.
What do we owe each other as members of the same community?
So many people have come up to me and said, "Are you still teaching, or are you retired?" And I resist the urge to punch them in the nose.
One of the best ways of learning is to discuss something with somebody who disagrees with you.
Can I do what I love to do as well as I should be doing it?
The wealth is held by the richest 400 Americans. You get the picture.
We have to all engage their curiosity. Democracy is not a spectator sport. It's active. You can't reach their intellect if you don't reach their emotions.
I began to see bullying all around. Economic bullying, racial bullying, the bullying of anybody who's different.
If there are enough people who feel bullied, they begin to have power. For them, it's not ending, it's beginning. And this is the connection between teachers and students. It's about the passage of time.
This is our final class. You've made it.
And at a deeper level, the arc of one's life.
A true leader helps people overcome cynicism. I believe in your capacities. I believe in your commitment. I believe in you. It's going to be a wild ride. Thank you for joining me.
That makes me, the pictures of the students.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what really moves me. I miss them. I miss seeing them.
And their faces, it's so gorgeous, and the seas of them and the close-ups.
You have no idea. I mean, maybe you do because you made this movie.
Oh, you're teary,
but
Bob.
I'm a little bit because I've just missed those kids.
I know. But they're graduating today, so happy graduation. Go out and get it.
Happy graduation, all of you guys. I mean, really, you did it. You did it. And you use your degrees and degrees from the best public university in the world. Use them for the good of humanity. Use them to make this country and this world better. Sam, my son,
right,
emailed me yesterday. He said he had seen the trailer, just saw the trailer, and he said it was very moving.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And Sam,
yeah, and did you say, I haven't seen the trailer? Yeah, great response.
Anyway, thank you for this movie, and thank you for everything you do.
Of course. Well, so we so enjoyed making it because we get to say, there's so many important points, and it really is nonpartisan. So much of it is about your pedagogy and how you see the classroom, and that's one thing which I think is helpful, and I think teachers will like it. But also, I think these ideas, the themes in it, protecting dissenting voices.
Well, you say it's nonpartisan, and it is in the old way we used to think about partisanship, Democratic or Republican. But when we are fighting for democracy in the face of overt fascism, it is, I'm proud to say, it is on the side of democracy. Education and democracy are two sides of the same coin. But tyrants, what they love is ignorance. Ignorance is the handmaiden of tyranny.
I know. And what I'm excited is to try and get this into different people's eyeballs and screens, and try and use a new way to distribute where we can actually get individuals to bring this film into their local theaters.
How can they do that?
Oh, it's a long story. But basically, you go to a website, you'd be shocked to know, and you say, I want this movie, and it's kind of like a Kickstarter and a Netflix had a baby, and you bring it to your local theater. So we will be announcing more, and if you want to know more, you can sign up at thelastclassfilm.com.
Thelastclassfilm.com.
So, but I am so excited to have people see all the student faces, if nothing else.
It is so moving to see them. I'm still a little shaky. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Bob.
Heather.
Are you kidding? On behalf of all the students and all of us.
And thank all of you. Michael, thank you.
Michael.
And we will see all of you next week.